And away we go. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome, one and all, to Coffee Talk. It is time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world today. We'll take a look at some clips from the news and share a little bit of dialogue with those of you who are able to join us for the live portion. And if you were listening somewhere else and you'd like to join the live portion, you can find us Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, on Coffee Talk and Prepper University. That's at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. You can find me on Rumble, Coffee Talk 2, and that's the number 2. And you can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. So, hey, everybody, as we get ready to jump into the realm of the ridiculous and take a look at what is going on in our world today, our insane world with so much going on that we can't hardly keep up anymore. It can hardly fit in the hour. As I get ready to chime off, I'll say hello to some of the people that have joined us for the live portion. I see Helter is here, as well as Dragon, Stacy, Brian, JJ, John is here, as well as Puck, not Templeton Peck, it's Puck. I've got Granny Smith on the floor down there. She was tearing into my calendar again, keeping me company. No one else in the room as far as felines, as we again get ready to jump off here into the realm of the ridiculous. And again, things are happening so quick you can barely keep up with it. And you saw the thumbnail, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the thumbnail here shortly. I'm going to start off actually in Worcester, Massachusetts. John said the world is rather sporty out. Kimberly has joined us, as well as Green Grass. Glad you could make it today. And hello to everyone else who didn't choose to chime in. That's okay. No obligation. But if you wanted to say hello, that's fine. Dan says 5 by 5. Good. So you can hear me clearly. The audio is still working, because I had audio problems, but I think I've got it resolved. Hasdrubal says, listening while walking the dog on a stormy evening in west of Ireland. West of Ireland. And this will be a New York Post article. And this is breaking, because this just happened. I don't know if you've seen this yet. Massachusetts city Worcester votes to become a transgender sanctuary city in rebuke of Trump's gender policies. Absolutely nuts. Because Lord knows they're not safe anywhere. They've been a protected class for a while now. And I don't know if you might have seen the video footage from this debacle. The town council, the town meeting on this is bonkers. It's worth taking a look at. Getting into the article, Massachusetts' second largest city voted to become a sanctuary for transgender people. One of the first in the country to do so since Trump took office in January and brought sweeping reform to federal gender policy. In an overwhelming 9-2 vote Tuesday night, Worcester City Council passed a resolution declaring the city's new status, which also applies to people from the LGBT, non-binary, greater genderqueer community. The resolution has no legally binding power, but means the city is officially committed to refusing to cooperate with federal or out-of-state entities that would infringe on the rights of queer people. And you see the flags that are hanging here. But I think I have some clips from the actual meeting. It's crazy. No city resources or city property shall be utilized for detaining persons for solely seeking or providing gender-affirming care. Well, no one said somebody was going to go to jail for being trans, did they? Or providing care. They can't provide care if their funding is cut off, which is what Trump is doing. No city resources shall be utilized for cooperating with or providing information to any individual or out-of-state agency or department regarding provision of affirming health care. It's all talking points. It's nonsense. They had the open mic, and the parade of people who look like they came from the Joker's team in Gotham was astounding. And like I said, I'm going to try to play a clip from it here in a moment. I don't know if anyone has seen this yet. It says the resolution put forward by the queer residents of Worcester and our allies are called on the city to declare itself a sanctuary city and a place of safety for transgender and gender diverse people. Okay, every person who's diverse in the whole country, you go to Worcester, Mass. You go there. I don't think I've ever been to Worcester. I grew up in Massachusetts, but I'm not sure I've been to Worcester. I don't think so. Country Living is here. Glad you could make it, as well as Cyberjack Sr., who reminds people thumbs up. Please do. Dan says Massachusetts is screwing everything up. Yeah. Peter said major false flag incoming. They have nothing left to fight back. Let me see if I can pull up the video, if I can play any of this video clip without getting in trouble. The last time I showed a clip, I got in trouble. Just saying. Just for point of reference, I did get kicked in the teeth for showing that clip of the riots in Philadelphia after the Eagles won. I got kicked in the teeth for the riots. But these people are nuts. And let me see if I can back this up a little bit here. And I got the clip ready. Okay. I'll pull this up for you. And hopefully I won't get in trouble. But hey, what are you going to do, folks? What are you going to do? Just trying to share the news with some people. Here it comes. Listen to these people talk. It's crazy.
Good evening, but through the chair, I will only impart my sour grapes.
My name in drag is Dee Dee Delight. And my name out of drag is Dewey Cosgrove Atienza.
My name is Pastor Julie Payne-Britton. I use the pronouns she and her, and I am disabled cisgender lesbian.
Yeah. Okay. Listen to this dude.
I speak as both the B and the T in the LGBT. I speak as someone who is always misgendered, like all the time. People refer to me as sir when I prefer to be referred to as ma'am.
I want to be referred to as your Lord and Master. How about that? I want to be referred to as a millionaire. I want to be referred to as an astronaut. This is nuts. Hold on. Let me find this one. I'm trying to get this one queued up. This is a woman who thinks she's a dude. Not this one.
You should see how afraid of Trump I am. You better...
Okay. Hold on a second.
I don't want to be here. I'm sorry. Am I taking too long pleading for my life?
I need the city to protect me because the federal government won't. And if you think you're afraid of Trump, you should see how afraid of Trump I am. You better prepare for trans people to make this a very unsafe space.
I do not want to be here. It's my...
And look at this woman with the painted on beard. That is a painted on mustache and beard, by the way.
day off. I don't want to spend an hour applying glitter on my face so that you will hear and see me.
Can you look at me and tell me how many of my friends need to die before you do anything?
Have any of your friends died? I doubt it. And if they did, they probably committed suicide. Oh, I said the S word. Oh, I'm going to get in trouble now. I'm going to get in trouble now. Puck says the usual suspects. Yes. Country Living said, with that voice, I don't think you're really a ma'am. JJ said, I want to be referred to as a billionaire. Brian, their appearances nearly made me throw up. I know. Well, Dan says you want to be his master. That means you're going to wear chaps and carry a whip. No, I was just being sarcastic, Dan. No country. It was not Halloween. These people walk around like this all day. This guy right here, I think, had to be escorted out.
Please wrap
Look
up.
at me!
Okay, we're all done here.
Pathetic.
We're all done. Come on.
Incredible. But if any of their friends are demised, they probably did it to themselves, as many of you are probably aware. And if you look at the track history on it, a lot of the people who have gone through any type of so-called gender affirming surgeries end up disposing of themselves after the fact. Because they can't deal with the psychological ramifications of what they've done, which is irreversible, by the way. These are people that are manically depressed and has developed into a mental illness, and they want to force everyone to play along. And Worcester is playing along, pretending to give them sanctuary status. Well, like I said, send them all down there. Send everybody to Worcester from all over the country and let them live there and see how well things go. And I bet you none of them work. How much you want to bet none of those people have a job? Or if it does, it's some kind of sex worker. It's in porn, or it's in a strip club, or it's something weird. Kimberly said they want us to play along with the delusion. We choose not to. How is that threatening in any way? Jericho says there's a meme going around called a 41% movement, because I think it was 41% of LG Kermit soup of side, if you catch my drift. Really? Yeah, Kermit soup of side. Yes. 41% of them don't make it. Don't make it. And this is also breaking. This is coming down the pipe from the EPA. The EPA getting on board quick with DOGE here, or trying to get ahead of it. One Post article coming up. Top of the EPA chief says Biden was irresponsibly shoveling boatloads of cash and vows to get back $20 billion wasted through their agency. The Environmental Protection Agency will try to claw back $20 billion that the Biden administration approved for climate projects. EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin announced in a social media post Wednesday, claiming without evidence that the money was awarded in a rush job with reduced oversight, which is how most of Biden's government was run. The move, which is likely to draw legal challenges, escalates President Trump's efforts to freeze climate funding across the federal government. It comes despite a federal judge's ruling Monday that the administration has been violating a court order to release tens of billions of dollars in federal grants. Court order can't enforce that. It really can't. In a video posted to X Wednesday evening, Zeldin said the EPA would terminate its contract with the bank overseeing the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, a program established by former President Biden's signature 2022 climate law. The fund seeks to leverage public and private dollars to invest in clean energy technology, such as solar panels or heat pumps. Heat pumps don't work very well, and they're expensive. Though he did not mention the bank by name, Citi had an agreement, that's Citibank, with the Biden administration to oversee the release of $20 billion under the program to nonprofit groups and states, according to publicly available documents. How come the government can't do it itself and it has to subcontract to some big banking corporation so that they can pilfer from it? The days of irresponsibly shoveling boatloads of cash to far-left activist groups in the name of environmental justice and climate equality are over, quote, Zeldin. The American public deserves a more transparent and accountable government than what transpired over the last 4 years. Except that, quite frankly, the EPA didn't seem to give a shit while Biden was in office. Just saying. And Jane has joined us, Jane Spitfire, as well as Bob. And Country says they actually believe they should be in fear for their lives. When did this administration say they are coming after them? Never. That has never been implied. It's never been implied. But they've been convinced that they are in danger. Plus, they've also been shown that they are a protected class of citizen. And that's why you can get them coming out like this. They weren't scared enough to dress like that at a public forum on camera. and go on about pronouns, or like that priest who's handicapped, lesbian, this, that, and the other. They're not afraid to go up in a public forum and walk the streets like that, but apparently they live in fear. Incredible. Peter says, without evidence, their go-to phrase when there is ample evidence. Pretty much. Pretty much. There's plenty of evidence. And he's going to try to claw back 20 billion, which means that they spent 40. And like I said, the EPA didn't seem to give a damn. While Biden was in office, now all of a sudden they want to do something about it. Now they have a problem. Now they want to get out ahead of it. And that's all this is. They're getting out ahead of DOGE. DOGE comes around. And I think a lot of people don't quite understand. I mean, Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, but essentially it's an oversight committee. And a lot of these agencies, USAID, Department of Education, Department of Treasury, the EPA, FEMA, have been operating for years with no oversight whatsoever. And rather than try to create a committee for each of them, they made one blanket establishment, DOGE, to start hammering on all of them, bit by bit. And John Boy is here. Glad you could make it. And once again, there is Granny Smith. I think Jane wanted to see Granny, didn't you? There she is, sleeping on the floor, keeping me company today. And it just keeps getting better. It just keeps getting better. As USAID, they're not done picking on USAID either, as you'll see in this upcoming article. And this is a New York Post. If Restream will open it, come on, Restream, give me a break, will you? New York Post, Trump fires USAID's top watchdog after reports of millions wasted on educating al-Qaeda terrorists and drag shows. So the agency that was supposed to be giving oversight to USAID wasn't doing their job, and they're fired too. President Trump has fired the top watchdog for the U.S. Agency for International Development, just as details resurfaced that the controversial agency had bankrolled the college education of an al-Qaeda terrorist with ties to 911. Paul Martin, who has served as the Inspector General since 23, was informed by a White House official via email Tuesday his termination was effective immediately. Bye, Martin. That's Martin. In case anybody wants a resume or is looking for another watchdog commander, Martin is now available. His dismissal came just one day after his office had published a report criticizing Trump's call to freeze USAID funds after finding that the agency had wasted billions on lefty schemes. In the report, the watchdog's office had said the Trump's administration push to dismantle USAID had crippled the agency's ability to conduct oversight of unspent aid worth roughly $8.2 billion. So, hey, you shut us down before we could waste the extra $8.2 billion we hadn't thrown out there yet, is his complaint. Staff cuts and stop work orders had made it difficult to ensure taxpayer-funded aid would end up in the hands of those it intended, according to that report. That's the whole point of shutting it down, so that we'll stop throwing money all over the planet. Meanwhile, news of Martin's departure came as unearthed records showed USAID had shelled out thousands to send American-born jihadist Anwar al-Awlaki to Colorado State University in 1990, an education they used to help recruit and groom terrorists for future attacks against the U.S. Brilliant. The documents obtained by Fox News showed al-Awlaki had lied on his application by claiming he was born in Yemen rather than New Mexico in an apparent bid to federal tuition funding worth more than $27,000 at that time. Al-Awlaki went on to earn a bachelor's in civil engineering in 1994 with the funding before teaching Islam at mosques across the country where U.S. officials believe he radicalized and recruited terrorists. So another one bites the dust. We didn't need this guy either. He's not doing his job. Bye. Goodbye. Nature Nerd says 40 billion is ridiculous. Yes, indeed. And Kimberly and Jane says that Granny Smith is a sweet kitty. Yes, she is. She's a sweetheart, actually. She's very, very quiet, very tame for a feral cat. It's surprisingly adapted. A lot of times, feral cats don't adapt to that level. A good example is Miss Kitty, who you got to be real careful picking her up, and she hates other cats entirely. They can't get near her. And Puck says, is that Chuck Schumer's new website to report government waste? Yes, there is. I think I have that pulled up. Do I have Schumer on here? Yes, I do, because that backfired on Schumer very quickly. I do have an article about Schumer. Surely that's what DOGE is an oversight committee for all of the aides that operated with impunity for the last few years, spending money wildly with nobody watching them or checking them at all. Western Journal article, Schumer introduces his portal and becomes its first victim. Oh, Schumer. Shot yourself in the foot, buddy. Democrats have been in a panic over Elon Musk and his team of Generation Z lieutenants tearing through federal records, searching out waste and fraud and abuse. Beyond protesting and whining, the Democrats do not have many plays left to show down the political momentum of President Trump and his allies, exposing the drastic need for government reform. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, a Democrat from New York, nevertheless took a stab at mounting more opposition on Monday by creating a whistleblower line for federal employees. Today, I'm calling on our brave public servants. I'm launching a new portal for anyone who wants to expose corruption, abuse of power, and threats to public safety with the legal protections of being a whistleblower. And we all know full well how badly things go for whistleblowers in real life. Just ask anybody who worked for Boeing. It says the snitch line asked the federal employees to name the agency in which they purportedly witnessed retaliation, wasteful spending, fraud, or criminal activity and describe that conduct. But several allies of Trump used this helpful new tool to expose an example of public safety threat infamously made by none other than Schumer himself. At a pro-abortion protest 5 years ago, Schumer offered a thinly veiled threat against conservative members of the Supreme Court over their potential decisions against the murder of preborn babies. Quote, I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind and you will pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions, according to Schumer. Justice knows that criticism comes with the territory, but threatening statements of this sort from the highest levels of government are not only inappropriate, they are dangerous. Basically, yeah, he was the first person that anybody complained about on the watchdog group that he set up. Like anyone cares about group. Like anybody cares. Schumer has to say. Kimberly says also ask associates of the Clintons. No kidding. And Nature Nerd says U.S. that brags about having small government has the biggest, most wasteful government in the world. And that's the reason why it's being picked apart right now. That's why it's being picked apart right now, finally. And as I've pointed out, I haven't seen the government getting kicked in the coconuts like this since Reagan was in office. It's been far too long, and it's about freaking time. It is about freaking time. Pulling up a Fox Business article. You've probably seen this by now. Musk claims there are 150-year-olds receiving Social Security benefits. He was giving an example, and that might be the only one, but he was just making the point of how ridiculous some of the claims into Social Security are in that statement, and this was in the Oval Office the other day. Billionaire Elon Musk on Tuesday claimed that a cursory review of Social Security records by the Department of Government Efficiency found evidence that the safety net program is paying benefits to 150-year-old people. Musk, who has been tasked with leading DOGE as a special government employee, spoke to reporters on Tuesday from the Oval Office with President Trump and said DOGE found payments going to beneficiaries listed as being around the age of 150, though he didn't go into detail about the claims specifically. Quote, there's crazy things like just a cursory examination of Social Security, and we've got people in there that are about 150 years old. Now, do you know anyone that's 150? I don't. They should be in the Guinness Book of World Records. They're missing out. So that's the case where, like, I think they're probably dead is my guess, or they should be very famous. One of the two. Musk went on to say that there's a whole bunch of Social Security payments where there's no identifying information. Like, why is there no identifying information? Obviously, quote again, we want to make sure the people who deserve to receive Social Security do receive it, and that they receive it quickly and accurately. If your taxpayer dollars are not spent in a sensible and frugal manner, then that's not okay. Your tax dollars need to be spent wisely on things that matter to the people. It's not draconian or radical, I think. It's really just saying, let's look at each of the expenditures and say, is this actually in the best interest of the people? And if it is, it's approved. If it's not, we should think about it. I can't argue. I can't argue with that. Country says some days I feel like I'm 150. Yeah. Hasdrubal says it's been revealed by DOGE that millions have been shoveled into the Western voluntaries to undermine the society's structure, e.g. the Jesuits got over $1 million to support illegal aliens in Ireland. And as it has been revealed that 14 Jesuits are under investigation for abusing younger people, shall we say. And again, all Democrats right now can sit there and do and is basically whine, no one elected Elon. And of course, the most famous person that wasn't elected that ran over the United States was Dr. Anthony Fauci. But I've got a better one. Someone who was installed that wasn't elected. How about Kamala Harris? She did not go through the traditional voting process to become the Democrat choice to run for president. She was appointed that. She bypassed the process. She was installed to replace Biden. Not that anyone else wouldn't have been installed, but at least put on a show for us and pretend like she was voted. Seriously, Hasdrubal said every Western nation needs a version of DOGE with teeth. Yeah, right now, they do. Right now, they do. And just to be transparent, DOGE is live on the government website. And I'll put this up here. Who has this Washington Examiner article? DOGE website goes live, providing detailed information about the organization's work, as every government organization using any kind of tax funding should be doing. The Department of Government Efficiency debuted its website late Wednesday night. The announcement was made in a post on X. DOGE website is live. And that's the portal. I'm going to take a copy of this and I'm going to throw it in the comments section for you. That's it. That's DOGE's website. Visitors to the page are greeted with a message atop the page that reads, "The people voted for a major reform." A statement also declares DOGE an official website of the United States government. The organization is headed by Elon Musk. The website contains a brief history of X posts by the Department of Government Efficiency's X account until February 7th, 2025 at 9:04 p.m. Each post tracks the discoveries and progress of DOGE and the Trump administration. The website's top right-hand corner has several tabs: Savings, Workforce, Regulations, Join, and About. When clicking on the Savings tab, a message reads, Receipts coming soon, no later than Valentine's Day, no other information currently provided. Clicking on Workforce tab directs people to a chart of the U.S. government that lists the total number of employees working for the federal government, which is 2.25 million subordinate offices, more than 16,000 offices, and total wages for all government employees at 211.3 billion, including providing information about government employees' average age, salaries, and years of tenure, and so on. And which is what every government agency that is using. Country says a sitting president can appoint who they want, if I'm not mistaken, correct. That's how we got Fauci. And country says Governor Kamala, hopefully she doesn't try to follow. Yeah, that is correct. That is correct. And I do have, I think I have that pulled up as well, because they are polling her for a possible run against Governor Newsom. Yes, that is happening. Let me see, where is that? I think I have that pulled up. I might not. If I don't have it, we'll do it another day. Here we go. I do have it. So we'll go ahead and pull that up. And it's another Washington Examiner article. I have a couple of those in here today. And if this article is accurate, all it goes to show you is that the people in California have learned nothing. Nothing. Slim majority of Democratic voters back Harris for governor. Brilliant. Former Vice President Kamala Harris has the support of most California Democrats' primary voters should she run for governor in 2026. A poll for the Emerson College Polling Inside California Politics and the Hill report 57% of primary voters in Harris's party would vote for her in a hypothetical election. Harris is trailed by former Representative Katie Porter at 9%, who is also fresh from a failed campaign. Nearly a fifth, that is 17%, remain undecided. So what they're suggesting here is that 57% of Californians, based on their poll, would vote for Harris if she ran in 2026 for governor, replacing Governor Newsom. And you know how it is with polls. I think this is a setup. I think they have this poll set up to try to make her look good for a possible candidate, to try to bamboozle people into believing she has a shot. And I'm going to look for the actual poll, and I'm going to pull it up for you, because I want to see how many people they interviewed, because that's always the key to this. That's how the polls work. They interview here it is. I've got it. I'm going to pull it up now, and I'll show you what Emerson College did. They handpick a small grouping of people. They cherry pick them to give them a positive result. This is how polls work. And this is Emerson College polling, February 2025 California poll. Kamala Harris emerges as Democratic frontrunner for governor. Okay. And we're going to run down here to the polling numbers. And this is the part that I'm looking for. The sample of California registered voters, 1,000. 1,000 people were interviewed, cherry-picked and interviewed. Out of a population of 42.5 million people. And I'll pull that up for you. The current population of California is 42.5 million as of the last census. There it is. So you're telling me that you cherry pick sampled 1,000 people and the best you could come up with was 57% in favor? And that's supposed to represent 42.5 million people. Although, granted, probably less than half of them are actually registered voters. You have to consider that a lot of them are going to be illegal aliens. A lot of them are going to be too young to vote, for example, or not eligible for some reason, or just not registered for whatever. So even if you're still left with 18 or 20 million people, you can't tell me 1,000 cherry-picked, hand-picked, sample people represents that many people. That's why I don't like polls. I think they did that to try to make it look like she could win. She lost 2 runs at the presidency. That's how she ended up vice president in the first place. She bypassed traditional methods to become a candidate this last time around and still lost. I just don't trust that. And Tuck has joined us, as well as Alex. Glad you could make it today. I see Armored Ghost is here. Says California is a swamp state. But if that was true, again, all I can say is California has not learned their lesson at all. Has not learned their lesson at all. And they deserve whatever they get, just as long as we don't all have to pay for it. As long as we do not have to pay for it. I'm going to pull up the thumbnail. I think this is really interesting. I'm going to pull up this thumbnail here. This is the actual website. This is a website. And that is the USDebtClock.org. Okay? And it's a fascinating thing to look at. It's a fascinating thing to look at, and it's in real time. This is real time. Okay? USDebtClock.org. Okay? And you can see our national debt, $36.5 trillion. $36.5 trillion in debt. Thanks, Biden. Thanks, Obama. Because this was slowing down under the Trump administration. It's unacceptable. But there's a lot of other interesting things on here. But in particular, what I want to point out is the new edition, highlighted in gold, to showcase that it is the new edition. That's the DOGE clock right here. Department of Government Efficiency clock right here. And when you run over anything, it should tell you what it is. See, debt per taxpayer, debt per citizen. 107,191 is how much each citizen owes. But here you go, the DOGE clock. Real-time savings objective from reducing government waste, fraud, and abuse in federal government agencies is the bibliography. If you hover over any of these, it will show you the bibliography. Okay? The DOGE clock in the last 20 days, I believe it was 20 or 21 days, has recovered almost $91 billion. As a matter of fact, it's going to hit $91 billion here in a minute. You can see it climbing. $91 billion. So DOGE has been added to the debt clock, the national debt clock, which is a fascinating tool. A fascinating tool. And I'm going to throw a link to the debt clock also in the comments. There you go. In case anybody wants to try to track this. This is fascinating. All the different things on here. And it's a lot larger than the window shows. You know, if I come down and I move around, you can see there's a lot more things on here. Very interesting. Average price of a new car. anything that might matter, savings per family average, dollar supply added from the U.S. Treasury, and so on. Municipal employees, how many municipal employees in the government? Average of charitable donations, so on and so forth. But this I thought was interesting because I had noticed DOGE has now been added, which makes sense because they have recently opened up their official government website detailing what they're doing. And I see Rodney has joined us. He says he can't stay long, but he made a donation to the channel. Thank you, Rodney. And of course, donations primarily go to taking care of our felines, our shelter cats, of which we have several. So thank you very much, Rodney. Always appreciated. And Sven says Trump suggests it may reach $1 trillion of clawback. We'll see. We will see how that goes. It looks good. It looks good. But I'm happy to see DOGE on there, and I think that's fascinating. And like I said, you can see it climbing up here. It may hit 91 billion as we speak, but that's really good for such a short time. And so far, they've only really hit USAID, and they've just started touching the Department of Education. And there's more than 400 government agencies that they need to move through. And they've got their eyes firmly fixed on FEMA and the EPA as well. I mean, think about this. This is how much money they waste is frightening. Raccoon says, I'd love to know how we give money away but owe so much. Because we give away so much. And Peter suggests that RFK is going to be even more, exposing even more corruption, maybe even more than Musk. Yeah, because where RFK is, he's in some real dirty business when you're talking pharmaceuticals, about medications and vaxes and all of that other stuff, artificial chemicals and sweeteners and dyes and things in food, stuff that's not permitted really anywhere else in the world. As I've pointed out before, even just the advertising, there's only 2 countries on earth that allow pharmaceutical advertising on television, the U.S. and New Zealand. So what are you going to do? Yeah, so he's in the real dirt. He's in the thick of it. He's in a real dirty spot, RFK Jr., which is why they wanted to force him out so badly. JJ said U.S. population of 340 million is surprising. I thought it was around 330. Well, maybe, yes, because 10 million of them aren't supposed to be here. There you go, JJ. You set them up, and I'll knock them down. Set them up, and I'll knock them down. And Sven says he stopped watching the USAID hearing. It isn't their money. Yeah, they act like it's their money, though. They certainly do. They certainly do. But this is nice to see, and it's interesting to look at. It's interesting to study. And, now some of you may not have known that there was a debt clock. Now you can find it and check that out for yourself. I wish there was a way I could just link this. I'm going to see if I can figure it out. Link this so that it's like permanently on the Coffee Talk YouTube page so that anybody can open it there anytime. You know what I mean? And Mr. Greenstar says monetary system is the problem. Well, we can't be Smurfs, unfortunately. We can't be Smurfs. It doesn't work. I wish we could all barter. Oh, here it comes. When we hit 91 million, I'll move on. Any second now. Come on, Elon. Let's go, huh? Happy to see that, though. We need to. It's a short fix because we're not going to get. There it is, $91 billion. And that's what Nature Nerd is suggesting. Wow, Doge saved 90 billion already. 91 and counting. 91 and counting. I'll go ahead and close that out now. But again, I find that really fascinating. I find that really fascinating. You know what else is fascinating? This is barely a blurb in the news. Barely a blurb in the news. Who has this article? CNN of all people. Because you know there was an executive order filed about JFK, RFK, and Martin Luther King, MLK. A lot of Ks there. Assassinations. Oh, well, suddenly the FBI found files that they hadn't been able to locate for decades. Out of nowhere, FBI says it has discovered new files on the JFK assassination. Really? The FBI has discovered 2,400 new records related to the assassination of President Kennedy from a new record search following the executive order from President Trump. Wow, couldn't find those for the last 50, 60 years, right? But now, oh, that's where they were. The FBI said in a statement on Monday that it performed a new search of records following Trump's executive order, which directed the release of more documents related to the assassination of JFK, Robert F. Kennedy, and Martin Luther King Jr. That search resulted in approximately 2,400 newly inventoried and digitized records that were previously unrecognized as being related to the JFK assassination case file, the Bureau said in a statement. They didn't know. That's what it was. They didn't realize. They didn't realize. And then, oh, oopsie, my bad. These are RFK documents. Yeah, we'll pull those out for you. Oh, no. You gotta love it. Country says maybe they were on the other side of Biden's Corvette. Yeah, that's what was in the boxes in Biden's garage. That's got to be it. That's got to be it. Jericho says they found it in someone's trouser pockets. Silly them. Yeah. And Puck says you would have to do that as a live stream. Correct. That would have to be running live. That would have to be running. Live. And Goodman said digital wallets are coming to you and me really soon. Every government would love to push that. Every government would love to push that because it's easier to control your money. And JJ says, astounding, maybe next FBI will find Jimmy Hoffa's body. I'm sure they know where that is too. And Puck said, a cashless society means you are in the end times. Yeah. That would apply. And Tuck says that no Democrat president had any interest in revealing all the facts about JFK because one of their favorite Democrats made it happen. Could be. Time will tell if you ever get to the bottom of any of it. But I just think it's real interesting that he pushes the issue for real this time because he didn't push hard enough last time, and so he was ignored. But he pushed it for real this time. And oh, wait a minute. Those files. I remember that. Sven says Hoffa is buried at a farm near my house. Is he? Anyone else down there that we should know about? I'm going to talk about one of the squad. Okay? And another website to know about. I put up 2 links already. I'm going to put up a third one. Okay? You'll love this one. But this is a Business Insider article. Okay? Business Insider article coming up about Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar. She's so poor. Ilhan has no money. Ilhan Omar says she's barely worth thousands, let alone millions. She doesn't own house. She doesn't own stocks. She doesn't have anything. Suffering people. This with AOC. They're so poor. She's got good teeth considering her background. Noticing the picture there. Okay. Representative Ilhan Omar said she hardly has thousands, let alone millions. She doesn't own stocks or a house and is still repaying her student loans, sparking reactions from ex-users, ranging from disbelief to reluctant disrespect. Omar's behest is perhaps best known as a member of the squad of progressive House members along with Representative AOC. The Minnesota lawmaker emulated her New York colleague by publicly discussing her personal finances this week, after an ex-user claimed both Democratic congresswomen were worth tens of millions and accused Ocasio-Cortez of taking bribes. AOC replied that she's worth less than $500,000. We know that's a lie. I know that's not true. Okay. Doesn't earn any income besides her government salary and doesn't own a house or trade stocks. Omar said that the user was lying about her net worth. She pointed to her past financial disclosures as proof, and that she only has modest wealth. Modest wealth. Quote, since getting elected, there has been a coordinated right-wing disinformation campaign claiming all sorts of wild things, including the ridiculous claim I'm worth millions, which is categorically false. I'm a working mom with student loan debt, unlike some of my colleagues, and similar to most Americans. I am not a millionaire, and I'm raising a family while maintaining a residence in Minneapolis and the District of Columbia, which are among the most expensive housing markets in the country. Poor Omar. Poor Omar. Here's Monkey. I know, he's in the little image there. Come on, Monkey. Country wants to know why we get the worst politicians in Minnesota. I have no idea. And JJ says she's so broke she can't even afford to pay attention. But ching. Poor Omar. She's so poor. She's so poor, ladies and gentlemen. Or is she? Or is she? Well, let's take a look. I'm going to go to another website, and this is called CAK Knowledge. CAK Knowledge. And it tracks the net worth of celebrities and politicians in the United States. Okay? Come here, buddy. Since he's here, there he is. Now you can see him up close. And he can't hold still for 2 seconds, and that's why he's Monkey. Monkey, everybody. I'm going to open this up. And again, that is CAK Knowledge. And I'm going to look up Omar. Ilhan Omar net worth at 24. Are you sitting down, folks? You're going to need to. $83 million. There she is. That's her picture. And this is how this site looks. You can type in any name of any politician or celebrity, and it'll pull it up for you. Name, Ilhan Omar. Salary, $316,000 a year. Monthly income, $25,000. Her date of birth, her age, gender, height, weight, profession, United States representative, nationality, currently American. Okay, there's a short biography here. What is her net worth? $83 million. Assets, $51 million. Liabilities and loans, $7 million. Investments, $22 million. Salary, $316,000. Business income, $14 million. Donations and gifts so far totaling $5 million. Bitch, you better pay that student loan. I don't want to hear it. Okay? Also, this website will list any luxury goods that you're in possession of. Ilhan Omar recently bought a BMW X5 and paid $80,000 for it. Omar also owns a Mercedes-Benz A-Class, which she paid $60,000 for. She has a few other cars that are owned, which are listed below: Mercedes-Benz GLA, BMW X6, and Volvo XC40. Okay, here's her home. Ilhan Omar lives in a 5,000 square foot luxury apartment in Minnesota, which she purchased for $9 million. And this is a photograph of her living room. Oh my God. And Puck wants me to put in Bernie Sanders. Should I? Check this website out. This is fantastic. I'll do that for you. But Omar is clearly lying, and it's not that hard to figure out. Let me see. Bernie Sanders, search. Is this it? Here we go. Bernie Sanders. Net worth, $5 million. I'm surprised. Salary, is that correct? Monthly income, $50,000. Salary, $350,000. 83 years old. Net worth, $5 million. Profession, politician. It doesn't have as much information on Bernie. Bernie must be better at hiding it. How about Nancy Pelosi? Nancy Pelosi, salary $210,000, monthly income $1 million a month, 84 years old, profession House Speaker. Nancy Pelosi's net worth is $165 million in U.S. currency. Assets, $80 million. Liabilities and loans, $6 million. Investments, $25 million. Speaker salary, $210,000. Business income, $9 million. Donations and gifts totaling $4 million. Wow. And then she has a breakdown. Let me see, luxury breakdown. I thought I saw it. I thought I saw a luxury breakdown on her. If I could find it. Okay. Okay. Nancy Pelosi lives in a 15,000 square foot luxury mansion in Baltimore, Maryland. Has bought the property for $30 million. Donors helped her purchase the property at a hefty discount. Wow. Must be nice. It must be nice. Nancy Pelosi owns over 20 real estate properties with a total net worth of $40 million, with a large stock portfolio. Some donors on Wall Street maintain an investment fund for Nancy Pelosi and offer her 30% return each year. The investment fund of Nancy Pelosi has $25 million in cash, stocks, and government bonds. That's incredible. But yeah, this is a really interesting website to look at when you can't find net worths on people, because I've gotten stuck that way before trying to find that kind of stuff. Yeah, Puck says Bernie's a poor millionaire, apparently, and Sven says that his money must be offshore. And that's a possibility. But that's CAK knowledge, or KN knowledge. So CA knowledge, I guess. CA knowledge with a K.com. Very, very interesting stuff. And I might pull that up again and just look up a few random people. But anyways, with that, we are at the top of the hour. So I will go ahead and start signing off. Again, you are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk, and you can find the live portion Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, on Coffee Talk and Prepper University. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. You can find me on Rumble, Coffee Talk 2, and that's the number 2. as well as fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. Special thanks today for Rodney for making a donation to the channel. Very much appreciated. Need all the help we can get for our feline friends. And I'll say thank you to everyone else who was able to join us here today. As always, hope you got something out of the conversation. And we will catch you again